Salutations, Swifters, it's Prof G, and it's time to start building the WordGarden app in SwiftUI. Now, WordGarden is our second app in our semester of Swift and SwiftUI, and a reminder to those who play the home game and want to follow along with my classes, our entire playlist starting with the first video is at bit.ly/prof-g-SwiftUI, all lowercase. Now, I teach this course as a flipped class. That means my students go through the same videos on the playlist that you see, but during class time when we meet in person each week, I'll give them a bunch of challenge exercises presented in Keynote slides, and I'll present the solutions afterward. If you want to see those slides so you can try out those exercises as well, check out the public course Google Drive under the course listing at Gallagher.com. I clear out that drive at the start of every fall and spring semester, but I'll release new slides every week. Feel free to dig in, and also feel free to share with others. And educators, let me know if you're using this in your own courses. Now, there are a few files that we're going to need when we build this app, some sounds, images, and an app icon. You can find those at the Google Drive at bit.ly/prof-g-SwiftUI-files, again, all lowercase. Right-click on the folder named WordGarden Files, and download that to your Mac. Next, launch Xcode, create a new Xcode project. This is an iOS app. Click Next. I'm going to name mine WordGarden. Remember, it's not a good idea to give an app a product name with spaces in it. This is a SwiftUI app. Click Next. Make sure Create Git Repository on my Mac is selected. And in an earlier lesson, we learned how to create a GitHub repo and push our commits up there so that you have this in your own professional portfolio. I'm going to save mine to the desktop. Click Create, and I'll adjust my screen. Then click Assets in the Project Navigator because I am going to place the files I downloaded into the Apps Asset Catalog. So find the WordGarden files you downloaded from the Google Drive just now. They're likely in your Downloads folder. I've already copied mine to the desktop. If your browser downloaded a .zip file, double-click the .zip file to decompress it into a folder. Then go inside the WordGarden Files folder. Select the two folders, Flower Sounds and Flower Images, and drag them into your Assets Catalog. You should have 4 sounds in the Flower Sounds folder, and images Flower 8 with 8 petals through Flower 0 with 0 petals, and Wilt Images showing the petals fading, Wilt 7 through Wilt 0. Then click on App Icon. I only have one icon for you, so we'll drag that into any appearance. And you can return to the Finder, find the WordGarden icon PNG file, and drag that into the App Icon box, and that'll be the icon for your app. Now let's get the launch screen images, so return to the Finder and go inside of the WordGarden launch screen images folder, highlight and select all 3 of those images, drag and drop into your asset catalog, and you'll see that you've got a 1x, 2x, and 3x image. Now to set up this image as our launch screen, I'm going to double click on the name WordGarden launch screen and highlight it all with Command A, copy it with Command C, then head over to the project icon at the top of the project navigator, make sure the Info tab is selected, go down to Launch Screen and click the expansion triangle to the left of Launch Screen so that it points down. You should see a row below that that says UI Launch Screen. Click the little plus circle in the UI Launch Screen row. There's a drop down there. Select Image Name. This is where we name our launch screen. And then to the right of Image Name, double click in the Value field, and you can Command V paste in the name of the launch screen that you just copied. Press Return. And if you want, why don't you select a phone to simulate in the scheme? I'm going to select the flagship phone, click on the play icon, hammer time. Of course, there should be no errors in here because we have no code, but there's the launch screen we just added. And if you want, you can click on the home button and you can see we've got an icon as well. Nice. So now you can quit out of the simulator. I'll hide the debug pane. Then let's click on Content View and start the layout, and we'll work from top to bottom. If we take a look at the top of the app, there are 4 text views, 2 in a vertical stack aligned left with words guessed and words missed, and 2 in a vertical stack aligned right with words to guess and words in game. And it looks like both of these are in a horizontal stack with a spacer in between them. So let's create this. Let's delete the default image and text that Xcode gives us, but we'll keep the VStack, and I'm going to enter a VStack inside that VStack. That'll hold the 2 text views on the left, and inside I'll put text in parentheses, the string words guessed :0. Copy this, paste it below, and change this to words missed :0. Now notice the VStack alignment is centered by default. We want the text views left aligned, and we know how to fix this. We can put parentheses after VStack, and we can add an alignment label followed by a colon, and enter .leading, which performs a left alignment. Then I'll copy this whole VStack with its 2 text views, paste it below the VStack I just created. I'll change the alignment to .trailing, that's right justified, and the text field should read words to guess :0 and words in game :0. Now these 2 VStacks are stacked vertically, but I can embed them in an HStack, and here's another Xcode trick. Now I know I can command click on the first VStack and embed this in an HStack, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both VStacks that I want to embed in an HStack's curlies. Then I'm going to type an open curly. Xcode will position that open curly above the select selection, and it will put a closing curly below the selection, and it will indent the selection inside the curlies. So now all I need to do is type the keyword hstack in front of the open curly. This is just another quick way to enclose things between characters. This also works if you highlight text and enter an open parentheses. Xcode will enclose the selection in parentheses, or you can make a selection and type a double quote, and Xcode will enclose this in double quotes and turn it into a string. Another super useful Xcode tip. Now we'll also add a spacer between the V-stacks and a spacer at the end of the H-stack. Looks good. Now inside the strings in our text label, we don't want to have the literal 0 in here. Why don't we create variables for those? So remember, we set up our state variables just below where the content view is declared. So up top, we'll add @state private var words guessed equals 0, and also @state private var words missed equals 0. And also let's create an array of strings to hold the words that we want to guess. We'll say @state private var words to guessed equals, and then in between square brackets, the strings Swift, dog, cat. And you can put whatever words you want in here. Now we'll also be writing this app to assume that all the words are just capital letters, no spaces, no other characters, no lowercase. And we're going to eventually write rules to prevent the user from making a guess of anything that isn't a capital letter. Then in our words guessed text field, we'll replace the 0 with string interp words guessed. And below that, we'll replace the 0 for words missed with string interp words missed. And words to guess are the number of words remaining that you can guess. So that's going to be a calculation. Inside the string interp, we'll say that's going to be words to guess dot count, so the number of words that we can guess, minus the number of words that have already been guessed. So in parentheses, we'll say words guessed plus words missed. So you want to subtract the total number of words that you've correctly and incorrectly guessed. Then words in game is going to be the length of the array words to guess, so string interp words to guess dot count. Now below this H-stack, we're going to add a spacer, then a text view to hold a message about the status of the game. We'll initially pass in the string, how many guesses to uncover the hidden word. So below the last spacer, I'll say text and pass in the string, how many guesses to uncover the hidden word. And let's increase the font size with the .font modifier, passing in .title. And we'll want to center this too. Remember how to do that? .multiline text alignment. And we're going to pass in .center for that. And let's add another spacer below this to push that text into the middle. Looks good. But we don't want this string literal passed into the text view. Let's highlight and cut this out, and we'll create a variable. Up top, we'll say @state private var, call this game status message, and set it equal to pasting in the string we just cut. And then back in that text view, we'll pass in this new game status message variable. Nice. Now below this, we're going to enter the word that the user needs to guess. And we're going to enter this as an underscore for each letter, separated by a space. And eventually what we're going to do is get the actual word the user should guess, which is going to be the word to guess array. And in brackets, we're going to have a variable to hold the current word. But right now what I'm going to do is just put in a to-do comment with 2 slashes, to-do colon. And I'm going to say switch to word to guess, bracket, current word. So we'll eventually change this, but right now I'm just going to create a text view under this with the literal text passing in 5 dashes with a space between each, just so we can see how things will look when we lay this out. And I want to teach you some techniques before we actually can use the word to guess current word. And for the font, we're going to set that to also .title to increase the size a bit. And so I don't forget, why don't we create a variable to hold the current word? That's the current index of the array word to guess for the word that we're guessing. So up top, I'll create a variable for that, @state private var current word equals 0. Now under the dashes for the word to guess, we're going to enter a view that allows user input. That's the text field. And next to that, we're going to put in a button labeled guess a letter. So to enter our text field, simply start typing text field, all one word, upper camel case, like all views and other types in Swift. And we get a bunch of options, but find and select this one with the title key and text. Now, title key would show up as grayed out text inside of the text field. This is sometimes useful if you want to prompt the user to do something like enter a first name or last name or password or email, or maybe show the format for a phone number to enter. But here, we actually don't want any text inside the empty string. We want it to remain empty and only show whatever the user types. So we'll pass an empty string in for this value. And for the text, this is going to be a binding string. Now remember, the binding string from our earlier app has a $sign in front of it, and we need this because this particular view, the text field, will both show the string, that's whatever the user types, and we're also going to take this as input into whatever string we put in here so that we can grab and use the value that the user enters. Remember, bindings use $signs in front of variables in views that treat a value as both input to read a value and output to show a value. So we'll press return to accept this. The title key is just going to be the empty string, but we need a binding string. So let's head to the top where we've defined our other state variables, and we'll call this guessed letter. So we'll say @state private var guessed letter lower camel case equals, and we'll set this to empty string initially. And then back in our text view, remember binding strings start with a $, guessed letter. And that's it. But while our text field is here, you can't really see it. It has the same background color as the view behind it. Now, one thing we could do is change the background color of either the text field or the view behind it. But instead, below the text field, we can add the .textField style modifier. Dot notation between the parentheses shows a bunch of options. Why don't we select rounded border? That looks nice, very subtle. Of course, it's stretched this out to the full length of the view. But if we want to shrink the text field, we can just add a frame below this. So I'll say .frame. We'll use between the parentheses just the width : label, and we'll pass the width in as 30. So there it is. It's much smaller, but the border is still really subtle, and some might even think it's hard to read or hard to recognize. But let me show you a technique to create a darker border. We're going to use a .overlay modifier with a rounded rect shape inside. So I'm going to say .overlay. We only need the content inside, so press return to select this, and press return again to get the trailing closure format. And in between the curlies, I'll say rounded rect with upper camel case. Be sure to select the option with corner radius, not corner size. That's an easy mistake to make. You want corner radius here, and we'll add the corner radius as 5, and gack! We get a filled-in shape, but you might remember from a previous lesson that we can fix this. What we can do is down below the rounded rect, we can add the .stroke modifier. Let's select the option with content and line width, and I'm going to pass in .gray as the stroke color to use, and I'm going to enter the line width in as a 2, and this looks much better. Now, you might think that you can go ahead and delete the text field style modifier, but if you do, that'll actually change the default size of the text field, even though we have a frame in here. So I suggest just keeping it there. But our text field looks good. Let's enter the button after this. So we'll say B button, and we'll use the standard option with the title and the action. The title will just be the string guess a letter. I'll tab and press return to get the trailing closure format that I like so much. And in here, I'm going to put a to-do comment that just says guess a letter button action here. And I'm going to set this button style to just bordered. That gives us the gray button with the blue tint, but I'm going to set the tint modifier, passing in mint, which I think looks nice with our spring-like WordGarden theme. And now the text field and the button should both be in an H stack. So I'll highlight the code for both of these views. Then I'll type the open curly, and with our cool new Xcode trick, we see that wraps these both in curlies. It indents our code, so I just have to put H stack in front of the frontmost curly, and this is looking good. Now let's add our image below this. So we'll say image with a capital I. Select the option with name. We're going to pass in a string with the name of any image in our asset catalog. And I'm going to pass in the string flower8, all one word, lowercase. But we also need to set .resizable and .scale to fit under this. Now this looks nice, but I think it would look even cooler if the flower looked like it was growing out of the bottom of the phone. So I'd like to ignore just the bottom of the safe area. Remember, we learned about the safe area in our prior app. Well, we can do this by making safe area modifications to the outermost view. That's this V stack, which I'll collapse using code folding so it's easier to see, just the V stack. And we actually don't want the padding modifier in here, so I'll delete that, but I'm going to enter the modifier ignores safe area. And take a look in code completion. We see there's an optional input attribute here, edges : with a lowercase e, so we want to use that. So if I enter edg, that'll select that parameter, press return. It wants something called an edge set, press dot. Dot notation tells us the options. I'm going to select dot bottom, and will you look at that? We're just ignoring the bottom of the safe area, giving us just the look we want. Nice! Now I'll unfold the V stack, and if we take a look at the preview, I do want to add some padding. I want to add just horizontal padding to the upmost H stack, so I'll say dot padding, and in between the parentheses I'll pass in dot horizontal. Remember, we learned that technique in the previous app too. And for the text view, for game status message, I'm going to add the standard amount of padding below that, so dot padding with nothing between the parens. Looking good. And you know, for our image, we entered a literal string in here. Let's cut this out and then create a variable for this. So up top, we'll call this variable image name, lower camel case, and we'll declare this with @state private var image name, and we'll initialize this with equals, pasting in the string flower8, and then down below in the image, we'll just use image name in here between the parentheses. Now, if you take a look at the images of the app, you see the interface actually changes depending on the state of the app. When a letter can be guessed in a word, The user can enter a letter in the text field and click the Guess a Letter button. But when they're done guessing a word, the text field and the Guess a Letter button are hidden, and this Another Word button shows up asking the user if they want to try another word. So we need our view to respond to these two different conditions, and we're going to use an if-else condition inside our view to achieve this. But first, let's create this Another Word button. Then I'll show you how you can show or hide these different portions of your interface. So below the H stack with a text field and the button, we'll add a new button, and we'll give this title Another Word. And for the action, I'll just press return for trailing closure format, and I'll enter a to-do comment in here, Another Word button action here. And just to distinguish this button from the other button, I'm going to set its button style to border prominent in this case, but I'll also set its tint to mint. You see the difference between these buttons? And now to show or hide portions of our interface, I'm going to head up to the area where we declare our variables, and I'm going to create a new Boolean value named playAgainHidden. And I'm going to set this initially to be true. So our Another Word button is also our play again button. So we play another word, and we're initially going to set this to be hidden. Then down in our code, I'm going to add an if statement starting just in front of the H stack. I'll say if playAgainHidden, open curly, and then close curly after the H stack. So if playAgain is hidden, we're going to show that H stack. But after that close curly, I'm going to say else, open curly, and then I'm going to close curly after the Another Word button, which is our play again button. And now look at our user interface. See how our play again button, the Another Word button, is now hidden? Nice! And just to test out our ability to show and hide these parts of the interface, I'm going to write some code here that we'll eventually delete. But in the button action for Guess a Letter, I'm going to enter playAgainHidden equals false. So this should show the play again button, Another Word button. And since we won't reach the if condition, this should also hide the two views in the H stack. And then in the button action inside the Another Word button, I'm going to set playAgainHidden equal to true. So let's try this out in our preview, and oh, will you look at that? We're showing and hiding portions of our user interface. Now we'll eventually want this to happen depending on whether the user still has letters to guess in the word or not. But we've set up our user interface, we've added conditional logic to show or hide portions of the interface, and things are looking really good. Now in our next lesson, we're going to learn more about how we can manipulate strings. So we're going to learn to read values from strings and strip out characters that we don't want. We'll learn to force values so that they only show in capital letters. And along the way, we'll also learn more about one of the trickier concepts in Swift programming, optionals. But feel good about your app, Swifter. We've got more big learning to come. Keep hacking.